Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day here. I'm just going to move that camera a little wee bit here. Here we go. Okay. Good to have you on this morning, Annette and Holly and Laurie. Good morning to you. Mike from Wawa. I thought I'd wear my bright shirt this morning. John, Rosalinda, and Amina. Lisa, good morning. Lisa Marie. Steph, good morning to you. And Muriel, how are you? Jeanette from our staff. Rita, good morning. Len and Judy from Edmonton, Alberta. Belinda, good morning to you. Susan and Janice and Sari, good morning to you. Sorry we enjoyed your company yesterday. Mike, Michelin, Barbara, Blanca, Mary Jane from Connecticut. Wendy, good morning, Wendy. How are you? Nellie and Lise, nice to have you guys on. Madeleine, Temiskaming, Zian, good morning to you. And Jean, Fatima, and Nick from our staff. And Doc's on with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. McEwen, Angelina, dear friend from Tennessee, and Adeline, Marie France, and Rita, Judy. You know what we're going to talk about today, guys? Your pineal gland. Deb and Dave, good morning to you. Jerry and Andrea, Nouveau Brunswick. Lucilla, good morning. Sharon, some new names. We appreciate that. Lisa and Bill, good morning to you. Okay, so I'll come on and after I say hello to Elizabeth and Denise, I will come on. Debbie, I got to say hello to you from Quebec too, and Connie. Okay, the pineal gland, if you Google it, it's often called your third eye. It's located deep in the brain. And the pineal gland is important for receiving light. So for ophthalmologists, optometrists, they know all about the pineal gland, but it's more important than people think. I mean, obviously for the sight, but it's a very important organ in your brain that helps to make melatonin. Melatonin. Now, melatonin is a well-known supplement. It really is. You see it advertised a lot, melatonin for sleep. And I'm not so big on the supplement of melatonin, because first of all, your body makes it. That doesn't mean you can't supplement with it. I just found over the years, for me, generally, that people, melatonin sort of had a shelf life. Like people that used it for sleep. And again, I got no problem with that. It's been my experience that the shelf life, in terms of your body get used to it when you take it in a supplement form. Now, if it doesn't for you and you find it helpful to sleep, hey, go for it. But I want to break down melatonin because melatonin your body makes. We're going to talk about how your body makes it and its importance. Because people think of melatonin for sleep, and absolutely. But melatonin does a lot of other things. So I want to talk to you about the development of melatonin, the production of it in the body, the pineal gland, and why we are at least by, it seems, conservative estimates, that 70% of the population in North America doesn't get enough sleep. So this is an important topic. Okay? So let's talk about melatonin and what it does. Okay? So melatonin is a hormone that your body produces from the pineal gland. How does your body produce melatonin? One, the sun. The sun. And you don't even have to sunbathe to get melatonin. You know how important I think sunbathing is. I mean, you know, vitamin D from the actual sun, there's nothing better. Your body produces vitamin D in 4 ways. The best way is to think of your body as a solar panel. It's the best way to get vitamin D from the sun. I mean, you can get it from food, you can get it from a supplement, and your body actually makes vitamin D. But the best way to get it is from the sun. Now, melatonin, the pineal gland, your third eye, centered deep within your brain, is very important in the production of melatonin. You get the sun, your pineal gland produces melatonin. Okay? Now, the problem with the pineal gland is that it calcifies as you age. It calcifies. Why does that happen? Well, just natural aging is partly responsible, but you can accelerate that aging. That gland actually glycates. Now, don't get sidetracked by that word. Glycation is it's like hardening. You know what I mean? It's when your glycation affects your skin, it affects every organ in your body, it affects your blood vessels, it affects your tendons, it affects your muscles. To some extent, aging, but glycation is advanced. We call it AGE', advanced glycation end products. It really is a big, big problem today because of food. There's nothing that will glycate, age, harden the pineal gland like bad food. And I've talked about your insulin. Have I ever mentioned that word before to you? Insulin? I know, I'm a one-trick pony. Always talking about insulin. But insulin resistance, okay? Insulin resistance. I read the book of Proverbs every day. For every day of the month, I read a chapter. So the 25th chapter of Proverbs, it was actually pretty funny because I read it this morning and it was, you know how I've said how insulin is like a bad neighbor. Okay, insulin resistance is when your neighbor, and actually that's found in Proverbs, it says, don't go to your neighbor's house too often. They're going to get sick of you. How about that for wisdom? But when you eat too many carbohydrates, you need too much insulin, and insulin, it doesn't matter. Remember what I've said all along. It doesn't matter. It has a job to do. And if you insist on eating carbs, if people insist on living on carbohydrates, like about 88% of our population, 88%, almost 90%, they live on carbs. That is why they're metabolically unwell. And when you use your insulin too much, your cells develop insulin resistance and they get sick and tired of that neighbor, insulin, coming over all the time, knocking on the door and say, hey, I gotta open up your cell to let the sugar in. I'm sorry, I have to. And the cells hate it. And they develop insulin resistance, but it doesn't matter. Insulin will just secrete more and more and more and more and more and more and more in order to put sugar inside cells. But what that does, take it a step further. What that does, what insulin does, what insulin resistance creates is inflammation and glycation. It wears your brain out. And one area in the brain that gets glycated is your pineal gland, your third eye. And now you do not produce as much melatonin. And melatonin is a big factor in your circadian rhythm, meaning that, it helps with your metabolism as you start off your day, and then, it gives you a good jolt, and then it comes down. And melatonin, as you collect it during the day and as your pineal gland, it helps you to wind down at night and puts you into a REM sleep. Huge problems. I've talked to you about this in the past. One of the things that happens when you don't sleep is the repair. I should have got the number ahead of time. If you haven't listened to this podcast, you got to go listen to it, because this is something we just didn't know in school. Okay? Like, I've got a chart of the brain here. I'll show it to you. Okay? And again, I'm bringing out my old atlas. And I'm showing, for those who will listen to this on the podcast, the brain. Okay? And it's interesting that, when we studied the brain, and there's actually a couple of charts of the blood vessels over here in the brain. But what we didn't know is that the brain actually has its own lymphatic system. It's separate. We've called it the glymphatics. And really what it is when you sleep, the night shift comes in. Your brain is, and I've used this illustration. I hope it's like you put your phone in airport, right? In the, when they tell you get on the plane and they tell you to flip it so that your phone doesn't receive any data while you're on the plane, okay? Airplane mode. You've heard of that. Well, your brain, when you're sleeping, it's not receiving data. If there's enough melatonin, it's going into a deep, there's different phases of sleep, but during the night, your glymphatic system, they work the night shift. And you know what they're doing? Because your brain, think about it, your brain is headquarters. It uses 25% of everything you eat. And in any manufacturing, right, processing, there's going to be debris. So your glymphatics, they only work when you sleep. See, a lot of people, they don't realize when they work night shift, and it's not their fault for a lot of people just don't get a lot of sleep. But what they don't realize is they're not getting the brain repair because their glymphatics are not working. And one of the things that happens is when your glymphatics and when you're not sleeping properly, you're not getting melatonin. Not enough melatonin? You're not getting the repair. And so this is really important. And melatonin is good for a lot of things. It gets you into, it actually, what it does, melatonin, okay, the hormone that your body makes, it actually lowers at night while your glymphatics are working. It lowers your body temperature. So it actually has a good effect on your thyroid. So during the night, you're cooling. And I always tell people, look, the best way to sleep is completely dark, because the same pineal gland that is your third eye and is a solar panel, really, it takes in the sunlight. It stores that melatonin and produces it, especially while you're sleeping. Sleep, guys, in a dark room, no lights, and get your kids used to that. Oh, I gotta have mommy keep my light on. I'm scared. Try and get them used to no light, because they're gonna make more melatonin. Cold, dark. Cold and dark. Oh, Doc, I need 10 blankets. Well, put 10 blankets on. And all your lights. The only mask that really works. Oh, I don't want to get into it. Cover your eyes at night, because your body will make more melatonin, guys. During the day, the sun. So don't put your sunglasses on, okay, for about 20 minutes. Now, don't go look directly in the sun. But for a good 20 minutes or so on a sunny day, don't put your sunglasses on. Think of it. You're making a hormone. Your third eye, your pineal gland, is making melatonin in the sunlight. Even in the middle of winter, 40 below in northern Ontario. If the sun is out, your body's making melatonin. Don't cover up your eyes. Cover them up at night. Very dark, okay? It protects the brain. It's good for inflammation, melatonin. And remember, the best way to make melatonin, light from the sun, the UV, the sun, and darkness at night. Okay? You know what? The more they study melatonin now, the more they realize how it is hooked up to the sun. The boogeyman, brought to you by Johnson and Johnson. They made it into a boogeyman in the 60s and 70s. Oh, the sun, stay out of the sun. Oh, don't stay out of the sun, folks. Don't stay out of the sun. I always get frustrated with my Florida friends. They get the sun about 320 days a year, and they're scared skinny of it. Oh, that drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Soon as day one of medical school should teach them, you make melatonin when you get out in the sun, for heaven's sakes. Anyways, okay? Now, again, melatonin is hooked up to insulin because of what is glycation. Okay? So aging of the pineal gland. It calcifies in the brain. It hardens. When you got a bad diet, so you need the sun for melatonin, and you need to have a good diet. And you got to cut out the carbs and the sugars. You would be shocked how many people who have done the reset have told us in testimonies how their sleep has improved. Well, they're lowering inflammation. They're lowering glycation. They're lowering these things. And so food is really, really important. Okay? Food is really, really important. They go together. And you need that. You need that vitamin D. Oh boy. I read an article yesterday, and sometimes I just have to be, my wife does this to me. Cool it. Bring it down. Bring your body stress down. It's just because I read this article, and it was a doctor talking about vitamin D, and it's, overrated, really was what he was trying to say. And he didn't give any proof of that. He just made a statement. And he said, when you go online, he was more interested, I think, from what I could read, is he was more interested in this whole thing with the virus and vitamin D as a therapeutic. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. But he didn't give any real rebuttal. He just said, I don't like it. And I think it's overblown. Not that he's ever tried it. Not that he's ever done what we talked about, I think last week or the week before, the hammer. At the first sign of a virus, the studies have been talking about hammering the virus with any virus with vitamin D, therapeutic levels of it. Like one of the studies showed 50,000 IUs for a day, for 7 days. I know my colleague and friend, Dr. Rona in Toronto, did a study on a 7-day hammer of vitamin D and pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia. And the results were fascinating. So vitamin D, guys, vitamin D. You need vitamin D. You need the sun on your pineal gland to make melatonin. You need to keep your insulin down in order to make melatonin. It all has to do with the pineal gland. Important, isn't it? You want to get a good sleep. And I've said this again a lot of times, but one of the medications that create an enormous side effect long term are sleeping pills. And the jury's not out on that. There are many major studies showing the link between long-term use of sleeping pills and Alzheimer's and dementia, cognitive decline. And I get it. I understand it. Where people are so frustrated. They can't sleep. So they take a sleeping pill. I don't even care if it's over the counter. You get an over the counter. These things, guys, sedate you. There's a big difference between sleeping and being knocked out. Because when you take a sleeping pill, you're being sedated. It's like you're getting a mini dose of anesthetic before going into an operation. You know what I mean? A mini dose. It should be handled by an anesthesiologist. Because what it does, the glial cells, guys, that lymphatics, the mechanism that takes the debris away from your brain, the waste products, it cleans up on the night shift. If you're taking a sleeping pill, you're not getting that. Your lymphatics are sedated. They're there, but your glial cells are asleep. They're, okay? Guys, that's really important. So I know there's so many millions of people that take a sleeping pill. Oh, doc, I can't sleep without it. You're not really sleeping. I hate to tell you, you're not making melatonin. You're not clearing the debris. You're going to pay an enormous price for that. Down the road. You won't get it today, but you're going to get it down the road. And it's almost invariable. You're going to go into cognitive decline. So you get a little bit of result now. Oh, I'm sleeping. Well, you're sedated. You're not sleeping. You're not getting into the REM sleep. You're not getting into the repair state that your brain needs. So you do everything, guys. You do everything. I know for some it's no fun, especially, but this is why I look at a person holistically. I always break them. When people tell me they don't sleep, it's usually because their adrenals, they're stressed. It's one of the stress is a huge, huge factor. Their cortisol is through the roof. You see, your cortisol should be high in the morning, but down to nothing. It works with melatonin. It works with melatonin in what we call their circadian rhythm. So that's a factor. Stress, cortisol. It's a huge factor. People that used to sleep well, they don't sleep well. They've been through a traumatic event or, a loss of a loved one or whatever, and their brain don't want to turn off at night. Well, you're not getting no repair if your brain's not turning off. It should be playing old movies in the background, when you're dreaming, okay? But it shouldn't be, my sister-in-law, I want to kill her. okay? Family dynamics and stress and loved ones and hurt. And I mean, those have major effects on cortisol. This is why, like for me, people ask me 1,000 times a year at least, okay, doc, what do you do for sleep? Well, do it naturally. Melatonin, try it if you want. But for me, I aim at getting your vitamin D levels up, your sunlight up, and your melatonin will take care of itself. And, dark room at night and cold room at night. And turn off that blue light, guys. Don't play on your phone or on your iPad right till the end, and TV if you can. Cut it out about a half an hour before you go to sleep. You got to try all those tricks. Okay? But I found the cortisol formula, lowering cortisol, balancing cortisol, because that stress in your brain, it wakes you up. A lot of people wake up, they're sleeping, they fall asleep, they're exhausted, and they wake up in the middle of the night because their brain turns on and they're thinking about problems. Dr. McEwen, am I right? Psychologist. She knows. Huge problem in our society today. Big problems. One of the unintended consequences of all the shutdowns and that too has been that, because people need people. We need each other. And this whole shutdown has affected people a lot of ways. You would think they would sleep better. It's worse than ever. Stress, see? Yep, has a big effect. Okay, guys, so did you learn a little bit about your pineal gland today? Okay? It's important, your third eye. Your third eye in the brain. Okay. Now, again, Friday, question and answer Friday. Okay? And we appreciate your questions. Tell your friends, and you can share this, by the way. Just share it right on Facebook. Facebook likes that, by the way. Do you know that? Facebook likes that. And for those, you can get the Doctor Is In podcast on your smartphone. You can sign up for it. It'll come automatically. Don't ask me how. Mine comes automatically to the phone. I think my son did that to my phone because I wouldn't know how to do it. I'm sorry. Sorry for being a senior. Okay, guys, we love you. Have I ever said that to you? And I mean it. Okay, we love you dearly. Okay, have a great day.